Welcome to Business Live with Maame Esi Nyamekye Thompson. Coming up, Ghana Revenue Authority set to take over the collection of property rates from the assemblies from the end of this month.
End of March is effective date, but we are before the end of March, and then we are expecting that everybody will be on board, and it will be for the whole year. So we are expecting that any payment that anybody will have to do on property rate this year must be done on the platform.
We'll be engaging a tax expert on this. Also, we'll be having the treasury bills rate may come down further in the coming weeks. That's the prediction from economist and finance expert Joe Jackson.
Just a decline of what?
52.5. Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty good, because the way our bond market was going, if the decline had been by 70-80%, I would not have been shocked.
Also, government urged to create an enabling environment for businesses to strive to reduce migration of Ghanaian youth abroad.
What we need to do is to create an enabling environment that will make it, first and foremost, easy for indigenous folks, and this includes the youthful population of Ghana, to start a life.
These are more coming up in the next 30 minutes. Stay with us. And now to our first story. The Ghana Revenue Authority is set to take over the collection of property rates from local assemblies from the end of this month. The decision was taken after the authority completed the necessary mapping of properties in all key regions across the country. According to the GRA, it is moving into this space because the various assemblies struggle to collect the tax over the years. Reverend Dr. Amishadai Usuamwa is the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority and has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
We started some announcement in the papers. We are expecting that the full takeover will be from the end of this month. This month going in the full implementation. So basically what we have done is that there are a number of properties that we have already raised the assessment. We have introduced a common platform, that is a system that allows you to be able to populate all the properties in there. And then we are encouraging property owners to go online and be able to update their records with any additional properties that they have. And then within that system, we are able to generate your rates applicable to your property. The rates differ from area to area and municipality to municipality. And then we'll be able to advise the property owners of their rates. At the same time, we're also encouraging, once this, with the platform ready, we are encouraging property owners to also go in. And if even your rates, your applicable rate has not been generated yet, you can still even pay in advance if you so desire. And then when the rates are generated, you'll be able to get the right figure for your property rate. So end of March is the effective date, but we are before the end of March, and then we are expecting that everybody will be on board, and it will be for the whole year. So we are expecting that any payments that anybody will have to do on property rate this year must be done on the platform.
Let's delve a bit deeper into this discussion. We're joined via Zoom by Gilbert Ado-Yuenchi. He's a senior manager with the tax unit at Deloitte, Ghana. Mr. Yuenchi, if you can hear me, what do you make of this decision by the Ghana Revenue Authority?
Okay, I think that is one of the policy In the first place, good evening to our cherished good listeners. And I think that it is one of the policy initiatives that government did set out in their budget statement, and they have taken reasonable steps to implement that. It's a step in the right direction because it will aid in proper revenue mobilization, as you and I are aware that when we compare our GDP to our tax, revenue mobilization is very low comparatively to other regions. And so it's a very good step that the Revenue Authority has taken. And I believe that before these conclusions or these decisions were raised, I mean, they would have assessed the inefficiencies in the system, the challenges inherent in collecting these rates previously, and the mechanism to deal with that would have been ironed out with this initiative that the GRA is putting across. So I think that is in a step in the right direction, and the GRA must be encouraged to ensure that this becomes successful in terms of revenue mobilization.
But then, by your own assertion, what do you think were the loopholes with the assemblies collecting these taxes that didn't work out?
I think that one is identification of these houses, and also the manual way of also, generating these assessment for these property owners, and also the management of it is very, very important. You will be in your house, and then someone will have to bring you a sheet or something that shows that you have to pay this for the entire year. I think that those are some of the administrative challenges that enshrined that system previously. Secondly, I think that how the revenue is also managed, because you need to have a mechanism to also monitor the revenue that has been collected by all these MMDAs. You understand me? So if you have a central point that aids in tracking, then you will be able to ascertain how much you've been able to collect in terms of property rate at any given year. And these mechanisms will be able to cure those challenges that were earlier on, and that I've earlier on stated.
Right. So, I mean, this moves me to my next question. Do you think that it will make a significant turn for this tax type?
It should, in my opinion, if it is well managed. I think that some of the things I've penciled down when I listened to the Commissioner General is encouraging property owners to go on the platform to do updates. You know how our Ghanaian system is. I mean, if there is no mechanism to compel people to do those updates, ordinarily they wouldn't do it. So on the top of my head, good, it's a very good initiative. The platform has been created. People must go there to go and do an update. Now, do they have the technical know-how to even do that? Looking at the literacy rate in Ghana. And it means in terms of IT, not in terms of other issues, but then in terms of IT, people are not always conversant with some of the IT trends that are emerging. So I'm asking myself, some of these properties in old areas like North Kaneshi and other areas where you find old folks there, how are they going to be able to update this on the platform? So then the information service unit of the Ministry of Communication for the respective districts would become handy, because then this information must be able to get down there for people to also know how to do these updates on the platform. Once we put these mechanisms in place, I think that the intended objective in its entirety will be achieved. And the revenue that we seek to raise in terms of, coming up with this policy would see the light of day.
Well, it's interesting that you raise these, concerns, because even the Ghana Revenue Authority on its own has also had challenges, recruiting or taking taxes some years back. And adding on to this, to their duty to collect property rate, you think is a bit much, or is just right?
We have not been good when it comes to revenue mobilization. I think that we need to give the GRA thumbs up, for some of the initiatives that they have brought on board. payment of taxes and filing online. I think that those measures are operating effectively to some extent. When it comes to revenue mobilization at the GR, they have done segregation of taxpayers. So we have those that are in the large taxpayers category and those that are in the middle taxpayers category. And these are taxpayers who are deemed to have mechanisms in place to help them to comply with taxes. And then we have those in the informal sector, which is quite on the higher side. So there have been some successes that has been chalked with some of these policies. But it is very important for us to know that we need to start somewhere. In spite of the inefficiencies in the system, if we don't start somewhere to identify the other loopholes that could be blocked in order to help us generate the needed revenue, then we will not go anywhere. And Ghana is already behind in terms of revenue mobilization. And in these current times, we need to ensure that we generate sufficient revenue in order to drive the kind of economic development that the country is seeking to do.
Very grateful to you, Mr. Gilbert Ado-Urenchi. He's Senior Manager with the Tax Unit at Deloitte, Ghana.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. Now, moving on, let's look at the current reforms ongoing at the Ghana Revenue Authority and its impact on the end-of-year target. Now, Treasury bills rate may come down further in the coming weeks. That's according to economist and finance expert Joe Jackson. Interest rates on the T-bills fell significantly on Tuesday from an average of 35% to about 25.5%. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Jackson, who is also the Director of Operations at Dalex Finance, said the expected downward trend in T-bills rate will consequently cause a reduction in lending rates.
Well, listen, I'll be honest with you, just a decline of
52.5. Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty good, because the way our bond market was going, if the decline had been by 70-80%, I would not have been shocked. It's as simple as that. We're in the throes of the debt exchange. This person is included, that person is excluded, there's a U-turn. Listen, the way I see things, we just accept it. Listen, we've had a horrendous event. We've had a default in government bonds. We've had a domestic exchange program that created tremendous liquidity, profitability issues for the institutions. At this moment, a decline of 50%, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Now, the latest thematic report on migration by the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed an increase in the number of Ghanaians who have traveled and settled outside the country between 2010 and 2021. The immigrants' population, according to the report, peaked at 25 to 39. Now, the report pointed out that the two major reasons for traveling outside the country is to seek for employment and to pursue education. We will in a bit speak with Ernest Amar, who is a project manager, Africa Berlin Network. But first, hear this report.
Professor Neifi at the event said this can affect Ghana's economy. He also furthered that government should implement policies to control the phenomenon, describing it as tricky.
How tricky is it is that we are, as a nation, we are bound by certain protocols. For example, the ECOWAS protocol, which allows you to let non-Ghanaians who are West Africans to come in, stay for a certain period and even, take up jobs, So if you are going to act against, non-Ghanaians who are from the ECOWAS region, then you have to be very careful. That is what makes it tricky. You know for sure that they are doing things which your own people do not like, but you cannot just take their complaints and use an iron hand or a hammer, to solve the situation. You have to be diplomatic. That is why I said, you see, over the years, Ghana as a nation we have sent delegations to Nigeria to try to talk with the authorities in Nigeria, and they have also come in here to talk to us on the issue of how we handle their people who are here doing trading. So that is what makes it tricky.
He stressed on the need for more jobs to be created.
The name is business promotion. It tries to promote business among Ghanaians. So it gives Ghanaians some freedom to enter into certain areas. Meanwhile, those are the same areas where the non-Ghanaians are also going. Remember, a very large proportion of Ghanaians who are working are in the non-formal sector. And all these people who come in here also go into the non-formal sector. So maybe we can come up with a policy which would enforce non-Ghanaians who come in here to go into certain designated sectors so that they leave the non-formal sector to the Ghanaian populace.
The report presents statistics on place of birth, duration of stay in current residence, main reason for moving, usual place of residence within the last 5 years.
Well, we've been speaking to project manager at Africa Berlin Network, Ernest Ama, who has lambasted government's continuous lip service in addressing unemployment. He urged government to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive.
We have to move beyond the lip service. We've heard it time without number. You know, we will do something about the brain drain situation in Africa, the immigration problem in Ghana, and then, you know, we go back to bed and then we come back when the issue becomes serious again. I think what we need to do is to create an enabling environment that will make it, first and foremost, easy for, you know, indigenous folks, and this includes the youthful population of Ghana, you know, to start a life. Because once the basic needs have been met, once they get access to capital, once they get access to support, it makes it very easy for them to start businesses on their own. So that's the starting point.
Now, Zenith Bank Ghana, in partnership with the World Trade Center Accra and Alibaba.com, has trained over 300 SMEs through the Alibaba Global Seller Training E-Course Masterclass. The training provided participants with practical digital marketing tools and insight on how to list products on Alibaba.com. There's more in this report.
Alibaba Global Seller Training E-Course Masterclass hosted hundreds of small and medium-sized enterprises who were taking through a 3-week training on how to promote their businesses on e-commerce platforms such as Alibaba.com. The program also equipped businesses with the needed insight on how to tap into the global export market and position their businesses to attract the right funding. Speaking to Joy Business, Head Retail Banking at Zenith Bank, Gloria Kabote Adudwaji, said the bank is committed to supporting the funding needs of SMEs.
So one of the first things that we are trying to do is to make sure that, just as we presented today, the small owners know what it takes to get access to finance. We are giving them a lot of training, advisory support, and Zenith Bank is also partnering with DFIs such as GESEL, partnering with the Development Bank Ghana, and other organizations to be able to get access to finance for SMEs who otherwise will not be able to afford the high interest rates that commercial banks typically charge for facilities that they come from the bank.
Some of the participants who spoke to Joy Business expressed excitement and called for more of such programs to be replicated across the country.
I think it's also going to give us an opportunity to explore global markets and have access globally. The only request would be that small businesses will be supported by GEFA especially to roll on to such globally recognized platforms.
I was also looking forward to hearing something from the banks about how they are supporting small and medium-scale businesses. I was looking at how Alibaba can help us expand our market outreach, and I think I got most of that.
The other challenge might be the cost involved in allowing SMEs to be present on the platform.
I think they should consider that and try and come out with a package that will be very good to us. It should be replicated across the country for other SMEs. I think 2 days is not enough.
I would definitely like to see more such events because as a business, our aim is to make money and also to solve problems in the world. And so if you just focus on your country or this small sector that you're in, there's so much more that can be done.
The Alibaba Global Seller Training e-course masterclass is powered by Zenith Bank Ghana in partnership with the World Trade Center Accra, Alibaba.com, and the Ghana Export Promotion Center.
You're still listening to Business Live. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. And also now, in Ghana, the cultivation of soybean is relatively new, but saddled with challenges. In a bid to address these challenges, the Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana began an advocacy program themed the Soybean Roundtable across the country. Tomorrow's episode of Food Chain focuses on this advocacy.
The Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana has begun an advocacy program to address some challenges confronting the soybean industry. This is as a result of complaints gathered from suppliers of soybean on the invasion of the sector by foreigners, although there is a ban on export in the industry. The Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana thus began an advocacy program named the Soya Bean Round Table. This was sponsored by GIZ under its projects Sustainable Employment Through Agribusiness and Market-Oriented Agriculture Program. The Soya Bean Roundtable was based on the theme Strengthening Partnership for Growth and Sustainability. In a bid to ensure that the advocacy program is properly understood by value chain actors, the association inaugurated regional value chain committees.
I'm Rich Macadams. I'm from Wa East. I'm a producer and aggregator in soybean.
My name is Randihili Selassie from Lambusi.
I'm called Sheila Zuwere from Nandom District. I'm soya beans farmer and at the same time make soya milk and soya flour.
We are very grateful to God for giving us these able men. That notwithstanding, we are also grateful to them for availing themselves voluntarily to carry the fort in the region.
In an interview with Joy Business, the executive secretary for the association, Yao Efrifa, indicated that the program is aimed at improving communication between government and stakeholders in the industry.
In 2018, we started having a challenge in our value chain. Foreigners from Turkey, Indians, Chinese are jammed onto the local market buying soya. Apparently, because our soya is non-GMO and that the prices were quite low at that time, they took advantage to our market. There was no control, so what it started developing was price hikes. So between 2018 and 2020, a kilogram or 100 kg bag that sold at 100 Ghana cedi was selling at almost 400, 500 Ghana cedi. And our local processors who were leaning on purely credit from our farmers wouldn't get it again because now there was ready market. Even if they had money, they weren't that solid to be able to buy at that price and still make profit in their industry. So there was so much agitation from them. So it's a fine, let's come to a round table, decide what to do, and give government that comfort that this is coming from all stakeholders in the seed or the grain industry.
Acting Northern Regional Director for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Hawa Musa, added that the solution to address the invasion of foreigners in the sector is to implement a standard pricing scheme.
So I also advise that the government to also do what it can do to mitigate the exportation or illegal smuggling of our food from the country. And the government can do that by offering fair prices to our farmers. And where there are value chain actors like you, then you can also stand in to assist the government in getting the produce locally for our local consumption.
Now catch the full episode tomorrow here on this channel. That's it for Business Live. I am Maame Esi Nyamekye Thompson. International business is up next.